In business, there's no room for guesswork. Every shipment matters. Every deadline counts. When you're trying to keep operations running smoothly, the last thing you need is uncertainty. That's why reliability is at the core of USPS Ground Advantage. From the moment your package is first scanned in, it moves through a secure nationwide network, aiding in a timely and accurate delivery. You get near real-time tracking so you can keep up with your shipments. And with affordable upfront pricing, there are no hidden fees or surprise surcharges to throw off your cost sheets. It all adds up to predictable deliveries you can depend on. Because knowing your logistics are handled lets you focus on everything else: your customers, your team, and the future you're building. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to start shipping with confidence. USPS, official shipping sponsor of the NHL.
This is Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Mondays. We welcome you into Money Moves live from downtown Las Vegas Circa Resort and Casino. Stormy, Buonantony, and Jonathan Von Tobel with you. I'm back in the saddle from vacation. Yep. Are you happy? Are you sad? What's the vibe right now? I don't know. I can't tell.
No, it's a mixed bag. We're happy you're back for sure. Yeah, we're happy you're back. I'll be nice. Yes, we're happy.
What a guy. Yes. Just in time, too, for National Championship, Masters Week. Yep. So I timed it well, at least from that standpoint.
I mean, not really. You missed, all of the important things that were happening over the last couple of weeks.
I am going to need you to later on in the show catch me up on all things MLB.
Baseball season has started.
Because with the exception of me trying desperately from Japan with the time difference, trying to set my fantasy baseball lineup, I have been very out of the loop. So I'm looking forward to your help.
Not so much for the Tokyo, what is it?
The Swallows.
The Tokyo something Swallows, which you bought me a hat from Japan, so this is great. It's not going to fit me, but I will use it to decorate my home.
Well, so I was hoping it's an adjustable strap that there could be.
You don't understand the curse of the size 8 fitted.
Man, I was excited that I found an adjustable because there was no shot at a fitted.
There's no adjustment that can save me for the most part. It's always got to be a fitted, but either way, I appreciate it very much.
Also, as we open things up here today, first day back, and we have breaking news instantly right before the show. So we're coming in hot here real quickly. Yeah. Ahead of all of our conversation around the national championship coming up tonight and everything else that we have to get to over the course of the next 2 hours, Pete Thamel reporting on X just a matter of minutes ago that North Carolina has found its next head coach, intending to hire longtime NBA coach Michael Malone, former Nuggets head coach.
Yeah, this is, I think, somewhat out of left field. As you had found out, his daughter goes to UNC, plays volleyball.
Volleyball player, yep.
So I guess there is some sort of connection. But, look, I think that this is incredibly interesting from many different standpoints. The first of which is the NBA coach that everybody thought was going to be the head coach of North Carolina, Billy Donovan, not even close, it would seem. The other part is Michael Malone is very much a hard ass. I mean, that was one of his big things as head coach of the Denver Nuggets. His personality was grating. It's why he got into it with the front office. In fact, it's why he got fired despite the fact that he was successful every step of the way. And yet, I mean, he won 510 games in an NBA championship. This dude is a good head coach. But the personality really drove a wedge between him and the front office, and it caused that whole thing to blow up. Now, it seems to have worked out really well because Adelman's doing a great job. Nuggets look like they could be pretty dangerous. But how does that work in today's college environment? Maybe it's a little bit more professional. Hey, it's a business now. We're paying for you. You come in, you do your job. I don't really have to recruit as much because we have this NIL thing. So maybe it's a little bit more like that, and he'll feel comfortable in that environment instead of having to go to an 18-year-old's house and, hey, you come play for me, and I'll make you realize your dreams. So maybe that helps out. But him as a person and as a head coach, I am very interested to see how that works. From an X's and O standpoint, I don't think there's any question that's going to be a good team. But how he works as a head coach is going to be really interesting.
Well, and how surprising is it just in general we talk so much about the landscape of college sports and where it is right now with NIL and having the NBA feel like it's, I don't want to say easier, but a better job or better role. Like he is somebody that you would imagine coming into next year would be a very valued candidate to go somewhere else. And yet he decides to take a blue blood. And again, none of this is officially official. This is just the intention report from Pete Thamel that we saw a moment ago. But to make the decision to go to college from the NBA.
I would also think that this is a sign that North Carolina is just throwing money at all their problems. I mean, we've seen, obviously, the Belichick thing and our former colleague Michael Lombardi being over there and what they're trying to do with the football program, albeit it didn't really work too well for them this last year. Now it's the same thing here. One has to assume that he's getting a pretty solid bag to go and be the head coach of North Carolina, one that might not be worth turning down because I think you're right. Yeah. I think that he would be an attractive candidate for many head coaching jobs in the NBA.
Fascinating start to the day here. Again, the breaking news just a moment ago from ESPN's Pete Thamel. Michael Malone, the intended next head coach over at North Carolina following the firing of Hubert Davis. That said, we do have a lot of other things that we've got on deck today, including a very big game that we will touch on in a moment. But let's set the table like we always do here on Money Moves. Time to run it down.
It's time for the top headlines and topics of the day. This is The Rundown.
So I go out of town for a couple weeks, and then absolute chaos ensues in the NHL, and this stretch run is really heating up, not only in terms of the playoff picture and all of the different things that we'll get into with that a little bit later on, but the Golden Knights fire Bruce Cassidy and bring in John Tortorella with 8 games to play, and then the New York Islanders come out here and just say, hold my beer, because they move on from Patrick Waugh and bring in Pete DeBoer, coincidentally former Golden Knights head coach as well. So I'm very excited to get into not only the news around the NHL, but the playoff picture and a big 4-game slate with wildcard implications later today.
And maybe I shouldn't give up so easily because my Edmonton Oilers are in the lead in the Pacific Division. The Detroit Red Wings are out of the playoff picture right now. The Rangers, not so much, but still has some life for some of these other things. So this has been fun. This has been an interesting end to the season. I was actually, you'll be proud of me, Saturday night was out, watched the final 4 games, and stuck around because there were some really big games on Saturday night in the NHL and was watching quite a bit. There was a big Sharks matchup on Saturday night that needed to be won by both teams. That was a fun one between them and the Predators, ultimately a 6-3 final there. So this race has even caught my attention. So we only have 4 or 5 games left. I'll be locked in, ready to go.
Speaking of the aforementioned Preds, really big one for the Western Conference in terms of that last wild card spot against Los Angeles Kings later on tonight. We'll get to your bread and butter as well, talking plenty of NBA. Plant the flag is what I used as a headline here after it was a massive weekend for Mavs star Cooper Flagg, who flipped the Rookie of the Year market on its head after what was a combined, 96 points over the last 2 games this weekend?
One would argue, I believe, was it Najee Marshall yesterday? No, it was P.J. Washington with the I Pledge Allegiance to the Flag. Which is,
that's smooth. I like that.
A little bit better. But, I mean, look,
better? I don't know, better.
Slightly better.
Come on.
We're going to say the same things we said before. If you think these awards markets have any idea what they're doing, look at the last couple of days in the NBA when it comes to Rookie of the Year. Absolute madness. Nobody has any idea who's going to win this. The last bit of news we saw on this was the Tim Bontemps straw poll, which gave Con Knipple 80 first-place votes to 20 for Cooper Flagg. Maybe a couple of those votes are going to get swung, are enough going to get swung. So this next week is going to be big. And we'll have some updates on the voting process because we actually brought this up last week. There's a pretty big deal with the voting process when the voters get their ballots because of what's happening with Luka Doncic.
In terms of the numbers, Cooper Flagg was... Con Knipple was minus 300, and then after that straw poll came out, got out to as high as I saw Julian Edlow over at DraftKings tweeting about as high as minus 1,800. And then obviously this swing happens with Cooper Flagg. So a fascinating conversation, one that we'll have, but also one that we'll have with Raheem Palmer in about 30 minutes on the program. Host, betting analyst over there at The Ringer. Excited for that. But let's start, of course, where the day will begin and end for us today. The national championship coming up tonight. A men's college basketball champion will be crowned between Michigan and UConn, and I will try to refrain from singing One Shining Moment, although the ball is tipped, and I'm very excited about it later on. UConn, a rare underdog with championship pedigree. Michigan, a decent-sized favorite, seeking what will be their first title should they get it done since 1989.
Not surprising that some spots that opened 7 were down to 6.5, that you see that big number next to UConn's name, and I think you get attracted to that only because of the way that they have handled this at this point right now. Under Hurley, I believe they are 18-1 in their last 19 tournament games against the spread. They have been a machine covering these numbers. They play like crap throughout the entire Big East. They don't meet any market expectations at all, but the NCAA tournament starts. You can't get to Furman, but the rest of the way, it doesn't matter. And it's been a tough schedule for the Huskies here. They have taken on a lot of big beasts, and they have slain each and every single one of them to get here to this national championship game tonight. So it's hard to doubt Hurley. But I will, I think, one more time.
Okay, all right. And we're going to hit on this game numerous times throughout the course of the day. Even in this next segment, we'll kind of do a deep dive on the game plan, matchup analysis, all of that good stuff. But in terms of the numbers, as you mentioned, Michigan largely laying 6.5 across the board. There are still a couple 7s out there. The total bet up from 144.5 to as high as 146 in some spots now, 145.5 that you saw on your screen, largely the number. Injury, something, though, to monitor tonight on both sides. From the Michigan standpoint, obviously a big conversation point has been Axel Lindenborg and what's going on with the knee, ankle. According to, him, he said he's absolutely playing today. We saw the availability report that came out around the Final Four from the NCAA that neither he nor Solo Ball from UConn were on the availability report. So the expectation is that both of them are going to play. But Lindenborg, obviously such a key to what Michigan does, although didn't seem to really need him against Arizona, and what was such a dominant win for them in the semis.
No, we were watching that and actually wondering, why'd you put him back out there?
Yeah.
That was a very big question. I know that made a lot of headlines, too, which I think he somehow talked to his agent and his mom at halftime, or somehow messaging got down that, you shouldn't play here, and he ultimately did. Low-grade MCL sprain.
Hit a couple threes, too.
Yeah, but to your point, they didn't need him. They absolutely smoked. Wow, why am I blanking on Arizona? Thank you. They smoked Arizona over the weekend. It's been that kind of weekend. And you didn't need him. So I think today you're probably going to need him against UConn. You mentioned Ball as well and what's going on with him. But really, look, if you have Terrace Reed, that's all you need, is what it really seems to be for UConn. Again, over the weekend, Terrace Reed with 17 points, 11 rebounds. They have rode him all the way up to this point, and I don't think that's going to stop anytime soon. But now it's a different animal with the way that you take on this Michigan team and the size they have up front to really handle it. So it's going to be a fun matchup, but it seems that while there are 2 injuries, I shouldn't say they're not worth noting, but they are going to play. Yeah. And I think that's what we have to assume, is that they're going to be at full strength. And
for anyone who missed it with Ball, he tweaked his ankle in the semifinal against Illinois, ended up in a walking boot yesterday, and played through it on Saturday, but didn't practice at all yesterday. So there were just kind of some questions about how tender ultimately is that ankle going to be? What are the expectations? But at least it seems like he's going to play. And we heard Dan Hurley say he's, quote, doing everything he can to prepare for the game. So that is the expectation. Should be a fun one. I'm very curious, what type of a game are we going to get in this one? Obviously, we saw Arizona try to run with Michigan. It didn't work out well. UConn is a team that likes to grind it out and play a little bit slower. Can they dictate tempo, or will Michigan? I think that's going to be a really big key tonight.
And will UConn be able to repeat their shooting performance? It wasn't incredible, but they doubled up Illinois and made 3-point attempts. They shot 36% from beyond the arc, something that had evaded them throughout the entire NCAA tournament for the most part, outside of, I believe it was the Michigan State game. And you talk about Solo Ball, finally had a good shooting game as well, as he has been up and down throughout this NCAA tournament. So how the ball falls from deep is also going to be a really big deal here, especially for the Huskies.
Solo Ball, how the ball falls. I find it fun. Okay, we're just getting started here on Money Moves. When we come back, we'll continue our deep dive into tonight's Natty. Michigan, 1-6 all-time in the title tilt. Can the 2026 iteration of the Wolverines exercise some demons? Not if Dan Hurley and his sage burning has anything to say about it. We'll touch on some of his traditions or superstitions when we come back as well.
So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools, but what they don't want you to know is that you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. VSiN Pro gives you access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Just tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Baseball season is here, ladies and gentlemen, and VSiN Pro just made it a whole lot more profitable with the MLB AI prop player projections tool powered by Opta AI. We're giving you data-driven projections for both hitters and pitchers compared directly to DraftKings lines, so you know exactly where the value is. And every day we're breaking it all down into top value plays and strong plays, so you don't have to do the heavy lifting. Get access now with a VSiN Pro subscription over at vsin.com/MLB props. And we will dive into the MLB card a little bit later on in the program. But for now, sticking with all things national championship, because we are down to the final two. Michigan and UConn going head-to-head tonight, as we mentioned last segment. Michigan laying 6.5 in the big game, so a relatively big spread against a team in UConn that has been here, done that multiple times in recent history. When you look at some of the betting splits for tonight, JVT, Michigan, despite seeing that number come down from 7.5 to 6.5, majority of bets and handle, whether it's DraftKings or Circa, and we're seeing some money to that over as well, from 144.5 up to as high as 146.
She's saying that's reverse line movement. Is that what that is?
I think that's what it is.
I'm going to be curious to see where this ultimately ends up. I would feel like just 6.5 is probably what we get for the game when we get to tip time later tonight. But crazier things have happened. I just do wonder. I mean, Maybe it's just low-hanging fruit. There's two low-hanging fruit narratives you can buy into. It's just, hey, you know what? Dan Hurley's covered 18 out of his last 19 NCAA tournament games. There's no way he's not going to stay inside 6.5. Or you can look at Michigan and just go, you know what? This is the best team in the country by a mile, and they are an absolute machine, crushing everybody in front of them. Look what they just did to Arizona. And you could say, well, maybe Arizona's not that good. Arizona, from a statistical standpoint, was the fourth best team we'd seen in Ken Palm's adjusted efficiency metric, and of all time. It was like the fourth best all time. And they absolutely waxed them over the weekend. I think that this is a group that is just, they're very well balanced. They know exactly what they're doing. May's a fantastic coach. And we sometimes, you know what? You just see a machine. UConn should know. Those two title runs that they had, this is who they were. They crushed every single opponent in front of them. They covered these numbers. They were an absolute monster. And I don't think that is something to turn your nose up at when you look at Michigan and the way they handled Arizona over the weekend.
Dan Hurley mentioned with the game against Illinois, them being an underdog in that game. And he was asked about being an underdog again here against Michigan, but at a bigger number. Here's what he had to say.
Yeah, in this game, not at all, because when you get down to winner take all at this point, there's just that is something that you probably doesn't even register. It's just like preparation, game plan, make sure the guy you're getting is healthy and as all the recovery, and just really, you don't have to be the best team. You don't have to have the best season to win this tournament. These are all one games, game 7, single game elimination. There's been plenty of times in the history of this tournament where the best team hasn't won it. You just got to be better for one night. And obviously, for us, we need to play the game a certain type of way. We obviously can't get into a certain type of game with Michigan. They're, incredibly dominant team, incredibly well coached, talent up and down the roster, physically imposing, all those things. So, the good thing for us, it's not a 7-game series. Just got to play one game on Monday night.
So he mentions there at the end, you obviously don't want to get into a certain type of game with Michigan, and we talked about it briefly last segment, right? Like, Arizona tried to run with Michigan, and it didn't go well for them. Michigan has actually lost the 2 games that they played low possession, 62, 63 possession type games. That's what UConn wants to do. In your mind, how important is that to the recipe for UConn to be able to cover a number like this or potentially win? Like, what will it take for UConn to come out on top if they were to?
I think you have to play at a slow pace, because I think he's being somewhat sarcastic there when he says, luckily, it's not a best-of-7 series.
Sure.
But it's ultimately the theory of not only a best-of-7 series, but in a game, what do we talk about all the time? You just want to cut down the opportunities for the better team to pull away, to eventually win these games. And so how do you do that? Well, you just cut down on the total possessions. You don't allow them to run. You don't allow them to get out there and play at the tempo that they want, and UConn is going to want to do that. You've hit on this, to actually put the numbers behind it again, averaging just under 65 possessions per game. That's what they want as a team. They don't want to get up into those 70s, because that's exactly what Michigan wants to do. So I think that's exactly what UConn is going to attempt to do. So you've got to be able to slow them down. Now, that's easier said than done. You just go out there and say, just slow them down. Just don't let them play at their tempo. But if you're missing shots and they're ripping and running, they're getting up and down the floor, that's going to be a very big problem. Because if you're not making shots, you can't get back and settle your defense. You can't do those sort of things. So your efficient offense has to be part of your game plan, too. You can slow it down by being a little bit more efficient with your own offensive possessions, but you can't allow them to get up and down the floor.
Something else that's important to Dan Hurley in terms of his process for his team winning games in the tournament, he is not a little stitious. He's very superstitious. And I joked in the tease about the sage burning that he does, but whether it is sage burning or the holy water putting, what is it? Like, it's not cloves of garlic. It's like onions.
Is it?
It's one or the two.
I honestly don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, what?
I haven't seen this at all.
No, you're lying. Are you being sarcastic?
No, I'm being serious, yeah.
They bring this up like every year around Dan Hurley. He does all this weird stuff. He puts stuff under the bleachers. I think he eats like exactly 8 M&Ms. as a part of his ritual. He wears the exact same outfit. He actually talked about it in media the other day about how his suit is literally falling apart at the seams because of how much he's worn it. You remember at least the dragon underwear, right?
No, not at all.
Oh my gosh. But
I focus on the serious things.
his wife, Andrea, when she was on the stage with the CBS crew, acknowledged one other superstition that nearly derailed things against Illinois. Take a listen.
My husband wears, he got this bracelet back years and years ago in church, and they're holy beads, and they're from Jerusalem, so they said.
Oh, Mazel
so
tov.
yes. So he wears them every single game. They break all the time. They've been breaking for years. They fall over the floor. So I actually had to, I string them, and I had to go to the Hobby Lobby to get more wooden beads. So there's a lot more Hobby Lobby beads than holy beads by now. But he broke them before we left, and he said, make sure you fix these beads before the next game. I said, oh, no, I will. I put them in my bag. There's so much going on.
Sure.
I forgot. I get to my seat last night. Luke Murray calls me and says, they call me Freddie. Freddie, where's the holy beads? I said, they're in the room. I had to leave the arena last night, run in the rain, get the beads out of. I was watching the game in the hotel room, the start, grab the beads, and then I got a police escort back with the holy beads. So I saved it.
Is that not wild?
I'm glad that we're using police escorts for
Right?
for beads. Part of the thing
Gotta
was
have it. They got the dub. Never in doubt.
it's a bag of M&Ms in which he picks through and removes the colors of his game day opponent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, according to Connecticut Insider.
Is there a number though? For some reason,
this article doesn't have a number. He's got the suit.
I thought it was 8.
Yeah, that you've talked about. As he said, there's holes in the suit, so that's falling apart for him too. And then let's see, Superman socks at least are the ones that he wore for his Sweet 16 matchup against Michigan State.
Yeah, and it's supposedly like from socks and underwear to the suit to shoes. Everything, and apparently this bracelet as well.
Yeah,
everything the same. Got an
it's
18-1 ATS.
I was going to say it's working
Last
right now. So I guess who am I to judge at this point?
Dusty May, not the same superstitions as far as I know, but doesn't mean that he doesn't have a plan. I feel like a lot of the conversation around UConn, should they get the job done today, is around like the for lack of a better, the witchcraft and wizardry, like the scientific madness and what Dan Hurley does as a system. But Dusty May is an excellent head coach as well, and he's proven that at so many different programs now, and what he's done with this roster as well. I know we'll talk a little bit more about the roster construction in a bit, but him as a head coach, I don't think there's an advantage one way or another when it comes to that.
Yeah, I mean, I would say no. I guess some people would say because of, like we've talked about before, brought this up last week, does Hurley get more of an advantage because he's used to these quick turnarounds? Now, May's actually had a couple, but that would be the argument you make, that if there was an advantage between the two outside of just game planning and the experience of playing in the NCAA tournament, having to get ready so quickly, play a game, one day off, right back to playing again, and Hurley's done so well that maybe that is an advantage for him in a situation like this. That's just an argument to make, I think.
I mean,
if you're playing devil's advocate about who would have an advantage.
Dusty May out here maybe have a little bit of an advantage too with what he did with the sight lines, bringing the mobile hoop out to Ann Arbor.
Well, he was also sitting. You see him sitting at the scorer's table.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was sitting at the scorer's table
doing
watching
some early scouting.
Illinois and UConn the other day. So they're both good head coaches. I don't know if you're really splitting hairs between the two, but some who value experience would probably say that Dan Hurley is the better guy just because he has done this for so long. And again, 18-1 ATS speaks for itself with how good he's been in this setting.
Are you excited for tonight?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'll say this: I was excited for Saturday night, and then I sat there at the local Westgate Superbook, and I was like, okay, well, I guess I just watched the Angels play baseball, and then Joe Adell robbed 3 homers, and I was like, oh, this is totally worth it.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit later too. But you were somebody that was pretty adamant for a long time about Arizona being the best team in the country.
I was.
So for them to lose that way to Michigan, I think
that was crazy.
Reinforces why you like Michigan today.
They got absolutely destroyed.
Was not great. Cooper Flagg is also doing some destruction over the weekend in terms of scoring the basketball, and in terms of the Rookie of the Year market, we're going to hit on that, the Lakers, the game slate today, and everything with Raheem Palmer coming up next.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
We got baseball every day. It's the last week of the NBA regular season. NHL playoffs are coming. The Sharp Plays covers it all, and they've been winning for 15 straight years. All of the documented logs posted publicly at sharpplays.com. That got me. Kind of transparency is rare in this industry. When the Sharp Plays moves, the sports books take notice. Advanced AI, trusted insider intel. They find the value before the numbers shift. Respected, watched, feared. Start winning with them at sharpplays.com.
And also start winning with our good buddy Raheem Palmer, who joins us here on Money Moves as we welcome you back to the program. Betting analyst, host of the Ringer Gambling Show. You can find him on Spotify, FanDuel TV. Follow him on X as well at I am Rostradamus. Clutch name.
That is
by the way,
the last time we saw Raheem, we were in the midst of a heater at the craps table. Durango. What's up, buddy?
Let's make a correction to that. JVT and our producer Stephanie were on a heater at the craps table. I lost my tail.
Oh, wow. I remember that night. That was a good night. I think BYU was playing somebody, and I bet on BYU, one of the rare times they actually got the cover.
You had a good day that day. I remember when we were talking again, I was very sad and emotional, but appreciate you for being a good sport. Do have a quick question for you off the top before we get into all of our NBA stuff that has coincidentally an NBA wrinkle here. We got the breaking news about 30 minutes ago that apparently North Carolina intends to hire former Nuggets championship head coach Michael Malone, which as we were talking about earlier, JVT said it feels like North Carolina is just throwing money at their problems. It hasn't worked for football. Will it for hoops? What did you make of the move?
Well, when you look at Mike Malone, we know he's the winningest head coach in Denver Nuggets history, 471 and 327 career record, and he won the Denver Nuggets a championship. However, I don't know how NBA head coaching or even NFL head coaching translates to college. So that remains to be seen. We know you got to be a good recruiter. And we know that the people behind you have to put up the bag for NIL. I think if they're throwing money at their problems, that's probably a good thing in the NIL era. So let's see what happens.
All right, let's talk about the association in whole because we are in the last week of the regular season. We have a lot of big news, but some of the big storylines before we get to some of your plays. Obviously, Rookie of the Year, Raheem. So how do you see this? The market's been flip-flopping. It's got no idea with these awards, almost every single award. It's pretty clueless outside of MVP, but it's been a big weekend for Cooper Flagg. Where do you stand on how Rookie of the Year is going to get doled out at the end of the season?
So this is very tough because I think you're going to have people with the mindset that Cooper Flagg is a future Hall of Fame player, and I want to end up on the right side of history, so I'll vote for him. And he has the counting stats. Obviously, if you look at the markets the other day, Con Knipple was like minus 1,800 to win the award. Cooper Flagg goes out there and puts up 51 and then 45, and then the markets completely shift. But if you look at dunksandthrees.com, if you look at EPM, or if you look at some of the advanced metrics, Con Knipple is by far having the better season, and we know he broke the three-point record for a rookie in Charlotte, but they're also playing meaningful basketball, and I think that has to count. So if I'm looking at this market right now, and if I have to make a bet right now, I'm buying more on Con Knipple under the premise that he's playing meaningful basketball and his team's going to make the playoffs. So, and he's played more games than Cooper Flagg. So I think he's probably going to get it, but you just never know.
Minus 1,800, as you mentioned to now, plus 150. You can get plus money on a guy who seemed, I don't want to say like locked up, but seemed like a very, very big favorite for a reason, especially after that straw poll came out. As we talk about odds movement, no team with bigger movement right now than the Los Angeles Lakers. With all of the news about Luka Doncic, about Austin Reeves, we get the report that Doncic is going over to Europe to see what he can do to expedite the process for that hamstring. What should we think about the Los Angeles Lakers at this point in the year?
Well, I mean, the Los Angeles Lakers, they're dead as fried chicken at this point in time. I mean, you're looking at them right now. They are the third seed in the Western Conference. I expect them to drop the fourth and maybe even fifth. So, I mean, if you drop, if they see the Rockets, maybe they have a shot. But as a whole, without Luka Doncic, I mean, they're in a world of hurt. And then Austin Reeves, he's banged up as well. I've never seen a team have this level of injuries going into the postseason.
Don't we all wish, though, that LeBron had like one series left in him where he pulled this off? I mean, I think it would be great from a narrative standpoint. And let me ask you this. I mean, you say they're dead as fried chicken. They could. I mean, Minnesota, if it's a 3-6 matchup against Minnesota, what in the world do we do with the Timberwolves considering that Anthony Edwards has his ailing knee that won't go away?
Well, if you look at that series last year, it felt like the Minnesota Timberwolves kind of punked them. They had, obviously they have a little bit more athleticism even without Anthony Edwards. I think the key is, can you get Jaden McDaniels back healthy as well? Because he's also hurt. So there's a lot of elements at play if those two were to play in a series. And I think ultimately, it would probably be a longer series. You're looking at the Wolves. They're like one of the worst covering teams in the league this year. If you've been betting on the Wolves, you've been losing money. So you do make a good point with that. So if those two play, maybe that's the one team that you could see the Lakers being able to pull something off.
Junction with the Denver Nuggets, who you have a play on their game tonight against the Portland Trailblazers. Denver laying 7.5. Current total right now 236.5. What's the play? Where should we be looking in this one tonight?
Well, I actually grabbed the under 238.5. There should be some 238s in the market, maybe even a 237.5. I'm going under here. I know the Nuggets have gone over in 5 out of the last 7 games, but they played a really grueling game against the San Antonio Spurs, had to go to overtime. And they're playing against the Blazers team, which has played 4 straight unders. And believe it or not, the Blazers are first in defensive rating over the last 2 weeks, 100 points per 100 possessions. I think this total is a little bit too high. I mean, you're looking at 238 in the market. I actually think this should be around 225 or so. I know that sounds crazy, but if I segment my numbers for a post-All-Star break, I think you get a much shorter number as opposed to using full season numbers.
We saw Jokic get the best of Victor Wembanyama in their first head-to-head matchup of the season over the weekend. What do you make of Denver as a whole? Because I've been pretty stubborn, Haim. I keep saying, like, hey, man, if this team's healthy going into the postseason, I don't think anybody wants to see them. We know what they did last year. Would you agree with that premise that Denver is lurking in the Western Conference?
So I was kind of a Denver Nuggets hater for the second half of the year, because if you look at the Denver Nuggets, I kind of compared them to Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. If you look throughout the Jokic-Murray era, if they were in a clutch game, you could trust them to get it done. And that hasn't been the case this year up until, recently. I mean, you look at them throughout this year, 22-19 in the clutch, negative rating of 5.7. But I think now that they've gotten everybody healthy back, they were able to pull out that game against the San Antonio Spurs. And I think that was a gritty game that team absolutely needed. I think I'm kind of with you. I still think Oklahoma City Thunder is the favorite, but I do think we're ultimately on a collision course between the Thunder and the Nuggets, and may the best man win.
Haim Palmer from The Ringer joined us here on the Progressive Guest Line. Okay, we talked about the under in Blazers Nuggets. You're looking at another under, though, tonight in Knicks Hawks. Why?
Okay, I'm looking at this game, and the Knicks are 25th in pace. And ultimately, I just think this total is a little bit too high. I mean, like, you're looking at 227 in the market. It's already been bet down from 228 in the market. I hate to kind of give out the worst of the number, but I just think the Knicks' size can cause some problems for Jalen Johnson. And I also like the fact that the Hawks have been defending pretty well lately. If you look at them over the last 2 weeks, they're 5th in defensive rating, 108 points per 100 possessions. So I'm betting against human achievement tonight. I like a lot of unders. There was another one I liked, but that moved like 6 points. I was really high on the Cleveland-Memphis under. It's unfortunate that one moved so much, so I don't really want to give that one out. But you look at Memphis, they're pretty much not playing anybody. And in Cleveland, they're coming off a back-to-back, both teams back-to-back 3 and 4 nights. So those are 3 unders I like.
All right, last 2 minutes with you here. I got to ask you about your boys. They're doing the Texas two-step. They get San Antonio today. They get Houston in a couple of days from now, I believe. 76ers, when they are healthy and they are together, look formidable. What do we think?
They still can't defend. I think that's ultimately what it comes down to. You're looking at a team who is 18th in defensive rating. We know that they're going to be able to score with Joel Embiid, but ultimately, I don't think they can get enough stops. And you're looking at this market today against the San Antonio Spurs. It's stuck dead on 8.5, which is, the same spread that it was in Philly. Obviously, Joel Embiid, Paul George, nor Kelly Oubre played. But, I mean, you're looking at Tyrese Maxey. He's a little bit banged up. I don't really have anything on this game. I saw there was some sharp money on the over. This went from 234.5 to about 237.5. So I can't really get involved. But that would probably be my look. I'd be leaning towards the over. But as far as the Sixers, obviously Joel Embiid causes problems for everybody, and they have the top-notch talent. But I just think it's a 3-team race in the East. You're talking about Cleveland. You're talking about Boston. You're talking about Detroit. Well, really a 4-team race, obviously the Knicks. I think it's those 4 teams. I don't see anybody else making any noise.
Raheem, I felt like kind of said it all, though, right off the top. Thank you for joining us today, buddy. We appreciate it.
Yeah, I just can't with the Sixers. I've given up. Honestly, at this point in time, I kind of just want to restart the whole era because it's unfortunate because we've never seen a healthy Joel Embiid in the postseason.
Happens to the best of us. Raheem Palmer, everybody, make sure you check everything out over there at The Ringer, host of The Ringer Gambling Show. Find it on Spotify as well as FanDuelTV. We got to step aside here. When we come back, it is an Overreaction Monday. You know what that means. Call me crazy, but coming up after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
I haven't done this for 2 weeks.
¿Quieres mejor internet? Cox Internet de 300 megas tiene las velocidades rápidas y confiables que buscas. Perfecto para streaming y gaming y trabajar desde casa. Yeah. Todo por solo $45 al mes cuando agregas Cox Mobile. Incluye equipo de Wi-Fi y garantía de precio de 2 años en tu plan. Yeah. No esperes. Cámbiate hoy a Cox. Requiere Cox Mobile Gig Unlimited. Garantía de precio no incluye impuestos y cargos. Velocidad de datos móviles se reduce después de 20 gigas al mes.
Put on your tinfoil hats.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. The whole world gone crazy.
For Call Me Crazy, but...
All right, let's get into it on an Overreaction Monday as we welcome you back to Money Moves. Stormy, Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you. And
I'm going first.
And you haven't done Call Me Crazy in a while because I just realized since I haven't been here, you didn't have anybody to throw things off of. You couldn't call yourself crazy.
Totally the reason why.
Wow.
And not because...
Haters gonna hate. I don't want to hear
this.
from you. This is my favorite segment to do. Go ahead. Lead us off.
All right, call me crazy, but applying for passport's hard. Justin, could you print that out for me, please, so I can fill it out afterwards? What do you mean? I don't have a passport. I'm trying to get one.
I know, but that's what Google's for. It's really easy to do.
Okay, you said that, and then I showed you what came up, and you're like, I don't know, maybe this one? Like, you have no idea either. You just went out of the country, and I'm asking you for help, and this is what you're giving.
I got a passport like 7 years ago.
Ridiculous.
And listen, there's certain documentation you need to have. Do you have your birth certificate? Do you have your driver's license? Fill out your stuff.
35.
You don't?
No.
I have my birth certificate. You're gonna. Okay, call me crazy, but I have a.
Can I get this before the start of June or by the beginning of June? What do you think? Okay.
Yeah, you got to get it expedited though. Yeah, fill out your stuff, get it expedited. It's like another $200.
Okay.
But get it done.
I'm rolling it.
But I'm laughing because I'm probably going to be judged for this. I have like my birth certificate and my in my baby book from when I was young.
That's a smart thing. Actually, I lie. I think I have my birth certificate. I don't have my social security card. That's the one I don't have.
Oh,
got locked up here.
See, I got a new one. You get married, you change your name, you got to get a new social security card. The more you know.
Go ahead.
That said, I want to actually talk baseball here for a second because all I keep seeing on social media is people freaking out about their either season win total bets or division bets, or if you're a fan of a team, if you're a fan of the Orioles, if you're a fan of the Red Sox, God forbid, if you're a fan of the Giants, like everybody is losing their mind right now. Call me crazy, but we should not be overreacting to the first 2 weeks of the baseball season. We are 1/27th of the way through what is a 162 game season. We got a 6-month marathon, ladies and gentlemen. Do I think it's good to see a couple of the things that are going on with the team early? Absolutely. But my goodness, the drama, the way that the Red Sox season is over after 9 games is blowing my mind.
Well, I mean, there might be some legs to some of what we're seeing. I mean, to the degree that people are freaking out about, maybe not. But, I don't know. Red Sox pitching at times kind of stinks on paper. The Giants lineup is awful. They have a rookie manager who might not know what he's doing at all. There's some signs that you would probably point to that say, yeah, this probably sticks over the course of 162 games.
I think that you can learn things from it, but over the course of 162, you think exactly what we've seen from these first 9 games are going to be the story of a team season. I highly doubt that.
I think it could be. I think I'm on both sides of the fence here. The qualities of a team do show, I think, earlier than you expect. But we've seen late comebacks, we've seen all these sort of things. Crazier things can happen. Trade deadline changes things if you change your team. Guys coming up and maybe performing better than you expect. Those are all those are all aspects that can change a season. But certain qualities of a team, let's talk San Francisco really quickly for a second. The Giants lineup stunk last year. they made some changes, but not anything titanic. And now we're looking at a Giants lineup that, guess what? It stinks again. Like, that's probably something that's going to stick with them for a while.
So what you're saying is I'm not crazy, but put me on anti-anxiety meds.
Sure. Are you claiming the Giants?
Why would I claim the Giants? No.
I thought you were a Padres
I am.
gal. Oh, okay.
I'm just saying if you're fans of these things or if you have bets on these teams, people are losing their minds. Okay, what's next for you?
All right, well, we'll stick with baseball here. Call me crazy, but to this point, Astros are frauds, and we will learn soon enough the truth about the Houston Astros.
I thought you liked the Astros coming into the year.
No, there was an under. That was no. This was an anti-Astros guy here.
Sorry.
We will learn soon enough. Now, look, they get the Colorado Rockies in a series getting started today, so we're not going to learn this one. But Hunter Brown just went on the IL in the losses that they suffered in that series against the A's. Their pitching got wrecked. If Brown's not going to be out there and we'll see, it's only the 15-day IL, but he's not out there every fifth day. It's going to be an absolute nightmare for him. I think the pitching is fraudulent. The offense might be good. We'll get to that in a second, but I do think that we're going to learn the truth about the Houston Astros. Beginning of the season, too, the schedule, it hasn't exactly been daunting. Yes, they took out the Titan in the AOS, the Angels, in a 4-game set. It was a 2-game series, or 4-game series, they tied it. But outside of that, Red Sox, Athletics, Rockies here. We're going to learn a lot about the Astros, I think, coming up once this tightens up. They get Seattle, then they get a series with Cleveland, New York, Baltimore, after a set in between with the Rockies once more. This is going to be something I think we're going to start to see go south for the Rockies.
Okay, well, let me hold off. Let me hold off until we see some of those results in hand before I say whether or not you're crazy. Still TBD. Because like I said, early portion of the season, still a lot to be determined. Call me crazy, but, and you're going to not be shocked by this at all, sportsbook refund culture has taken another step in getting out of hand. Listen, anybody who has listened to this show or anything that we've talked about on VSiN, our Sunday show, whatever it is, you know I am not a big fan of the injury forgiveness refunds that sportsbooks do. If you come out of a game after like one play or a minute or something like that, I have more understanding for it than big picture. But by now, everyone has seen the Joe Adell highlight reel against the Mariners on Saturday, the 3 home run robberies. FanDuel tweets out Sunday, Joe Adell saves the game. FanDuel, saving your bets when a once-in-a-lifetime situation like 3 home run robberies happens. We've got your back. We're refunding all home run bets on Cal Raleigh, Josh Naylor, and JP Crawford with bonus bets. From a business standpoint, I get it if you're FanDuel, right? Like the money is just coming back into the app that you're going to recycle through. Whatever. I guess it makes sense on what is probably like a low amount of volume that even came in on these bets to begin with. But still, are we going to get to the point where this is the precedent we're setting, where now you're just naturally going to have people complaining in all of your comments, FanDuel, DraftKings, whatever it is, that, oh, this home run got robbed, I need my money back?
Well, we're already there, first off.
Fair.
Second, I mean, I don't know why you're a hater. This is fun. This is great. Now, the real question is...
So I'm the no fun police because listen, I'm money for all. Go for it. I just think that in a world of sports betting where everybody complains about everything, this is just a silly, unnecessary thing to do.
I think the real question is the greatest baseball photo ever taken, which is Joe Adell triumphantly standing in the stands with the ball raised above his head. Should that still count as a home run, considering he's quite literally standing out of the park with the baseball that he caught? I would argue maybe not. You can catch Justin and I were texting back and forth about this, which was, you can catch a ball in foul territory and that's an out, so why not be able to catch a home run outside of the park and that count as an out? But I can understand the logic. I mean, it was an incredible catch.
I mean, he left his...
Yeah,
but I was going to say, nobody can hear our producer, Justin, but he said he didn't bring it back into the field. But if he left off of the ground from in the field of play. So
don't matter. My guy robbed 3.
Oh, come on.
That should be worth a full point in war. Let's do this thing. Come on now.
All right, what's your last one?
Last one. I have 2 more. Yordan Alvarez should not be 14-1 to an AL MVP. I know we just talked about the Astros and that they were frauds, but the one fraud that is not, Yordan Alvarez is off to a monster start here for the Houston Astros, hitting 400, a slash line of 400, 578, 900. He's already hit 4 dongs, 10 driven in. This dude's been absolutely insane so far to start the season. The problem is, will he play enough games? Will he be healthy? Injuries have been part of it. Last year only played in 48 contests. Played in 147 the year before that. But I do think that Yordan Alvarez, he might be worth looking at that 14-1 price range because he's walking at a really high rate. He's hitting the ball extremely well. Ranks in the 100th percentile in almost every single one of the notable categories there on Baseball Savant so far. He's been off to an incredible start and might be, if the Astros are not frauds, he's going to be the reason
I was going to say Yordan Alvarez, the one part of the Astros that aren't fraudulent. There you go.
He's been insane.
I don't know if you saw this. I'm sure you did, though, because somebody that has been following hockey as avidly as you have lately, but especially with the Golden Knights being as a part of this story. Call me crazy, but how do we have no update whatsoever on the supposed child that was born over the weekend in the Edmonton-Vegas game? I guess on the Oilers home broadcast, they mentioned that a woman was giving birth on the 7th level of the stadium, and we have received no updates since. We don't know if it's a boy or a girl. We don't know did this just happen on the concourse? Did it happen in a suite? Did they get taken down by medical staff? I have so many questions and no answers. What is happening here?
I don't know. I mean, you're asking the question because nobody knows anything at this point.
Well, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills because this is a very obvious thing that people want more information about, and we don't have it.
I don't think that many people want information.
Anyone that heard it does. I hope that the middle name ends up being McDavid or Rogers or something like that. Although the Oilers did lose the game, so maybe not the best juju.
Yeah.
Why are you also going to a game if you're almost, granted, I don't know a whole lot about pregnancy stuff. You've had children, maybe you do, but if you're that far along, should you be at an event like that?
Who knows? Maybe it was an emergency. We have no idea about anything, Stormy. Maybe you shouldn't assume that these people are bad parents.
I didn't say that. I just said I have questions. Okay, hit me with your last one.
Last one in the
For
NBA.
Real.
We hit on this really quickly. They get the Portland Trailblazers tonight, but call me crazy. But San Antonio is praying that Denver finishes with that 4th seed. They don't want to see him in that second round because I think the Nuggets are going to knock him out. Jokic has been incredible in his career against Victor Wembanyama. It's a young team with not that much experience against a group that does have it and has won an NBA Finals. I think San Antonio is desperately hoping that this team goes on the other side of the bracket and gets Oklahoma City in the second round as opposed to the Spurs.
You mentioned it earlier, that shot of Jokic over
Soundboard
Wemby.
shuffle, baby.
Oh, a thing of beauty. By the way, as we're talking about, I wouldn't say necessarily hot takes, but if you've got some of them in the group chat, you got to check out Cut. It's a social betting platform that lets you bet directly against your friends and other users on pretty much anything, sports, politics, pop culture, even personal bets. Everything's fully customizable and pre-funded, so you don't have to chase anybody down when they lose. No flaking, no excuses, and unlike traditional betting apps, Cut actually gives you the cash back on every single bet you make, even against your friends. Now you can get a 15% deposit bonus on your first deposit when you use the promo code VSIN. Head over to cut.com, that's KUTT.com, or download in the App Store, and again, use that promo code VSIN, VSIN. We got to step aside. The Natty's coming up tonight. We're hitting on that and more when we return.